Brings me on to the question of Arsene Wenger, Liam. The Munich result, although my own opinion is that the loss of Koscielny just after half-time was very important, bringing on Gabriel. But the subsequent 45 minutes, and indeed the first half as well, it was a poor Arsenal performance. And it's raised the question again about Arsene Wenger, which he answered at a press conference on Friday by saying, I'll be managing next year, it may not be here. He's got a 2-year contract on the table. What's your feeling about this, Liam, and what's the feeling around the club?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty around the club. There's a lot of the fan base would be unhappy to see Arsene Wenger in charge next year. But then, you know, our club's always going to listen to what the fans want to say. If you ask every fan to pick a team, they probably pick a different team, each and every one of them. They all have their own views. But Arsene Wenger, I think, is proven at running this club. He's like the CEO of a big business, and he's delivered year in, year out as regards the results that the owners are looking for. Maybe not the fans, but it's only 2 years ago that he won the FA Cup, and the year before he won the FA Cup, and consistently in the top 4 of the Premiership. So to sack a man who has a record like that would seem unfair. Now, I think Arsene Wenger is in a position himself that he has to reflect on what he wants to do, and I'm sure he's going to do that over the next few weeks. But there's some serious discussions got to go on between Arsene and the principal owner, Stan Kroenke, and they've got to work it out between them whether Arsene's going to go on managing this club.
Yeah, John, a piece you wrote in the Evening Herald last week was highly critical of Wenger, and I think your conclusion was that he should go.
Yeah, well, that was before the match, Eamon, as well.
Yeah, before the Munich.
Yeah, I think you can't take this result against Bayern Munich in isolation.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Because there's been a build-up to it and disappointments from the fans. It's the fans ultimately that get the manager sacked, in my opinion. But it's an accumulation of bad results and the manner in which they were beaten, and the manner in which they were beaten in other matches, where there doesn't seem to be any spirit or any go in the players. The players apparently were arguing with each other in the dressing room, which happens, as we know. I just feel I think he's been a great manager for Arsenal, there's no doubt about that.
And for English football.
And for English football. He's made great contributions. But I think for his own sake, and what I was saying for his own sake, I would prefer to see him go. Because I hate to see it getting really ugly, where the fans are so bad that, well, they've turned on him already, and they've given him dogs abuse in Stoke and that, which is very, very unfair and dreadful behaviour. But that's the way football is. It's a cruel game. I think he's done a great job for Arsenal. I think it would be the right time for him, even if he wins the cup, Eamon. I would like to see him, for his own sake, say, no, that's it now, and let somebody else take over.
A lot of people have said, John, to people with your view, be careful of what you wish for.
Exactly.
Because if Arsene Wenger goes, then you're into the unknown.
Yeah.
And what Liam is referring to, and a lot of people who, like I noticed Thierry Henry came out at the weekend and said, he should be kept.
Well, I'm only giving you my opinion on it. Thierry only has his own opinion on it. I just think for his own good. I think there does come a stage, apart from Alex Ferguson, with every manager. If you look back at all the great managers, whether it be Ramsey or Bill Nicholson, and going back along Stan Cullis, they ultimately reach a stage where they're failing. They fail. And I think, by his own standards, I think it's come to a stage now where it's a failure for Wenger. Now, he has said he wants to stay on next season, which I think is the right thing to do, because if he says he's going, it'll be a worse season. They could go on winning. I just think, for his own sake, that it's reached a stage now where he's done a great job for Arsenal, and get on.
Yeah, I mean, he has, Liam, done a great job, not just for Arsenal, but for the English game. He brought players in, magnificent players like Henry, Patrick Vieira. He changed the culture, didn't he, in relation to drink and diet.
Oh yeah, he was a forerunner and all those things, and a lot of people followed him behind him. But you have to look at the financial clout of the clubs that he's competing against. In those days, he wasn't competing against a Chelsea with Abramovich or a Man City with Abu Dhabi money, even Tottenham. We're a poor shadow of what they are now. Liverpool have invested a lot of money. Man United, is a money machine. So to keep the team consistently in the last 10 years in the top four, without having the money to spend on players. I know he spent a lot of money on players, but nothing of to compare to the likes of the money that Chelsea, Man City and Man United have been able to afford him. So I think you've got to take all that into consideration when you're making a judgment of whether he's a failure or he's a success, in the last 10 years.
Liam,
don't you agree?
Has he not got money now, though, Liam? In the last 2 years, he's had money, hasn't he?
Well, not to the same amounts that Chelsea or that Man United. Man United paid £90 million for Pogba, John. Arsenal are not in that.
No, I'm not saying they should do that, Liam, but they could be in a big. I mean, they have money.
No, but
now.
they're not in there. They're not. Sorry.
That's by their own standards. But Manchester United go into debt to do it, Liam. Liverpool go into debt to do it. All the big clubs go into debt to do it. That's how they're able to buy these players. They don't have the money in the bank. Well, I think
Arsenal's business plan is not going into debt,
That's
probably...
Yeah, but that's the plan, Liam. You know what I mean? That's why he's not buying the big players. That's what I'm saying. You can't have it, they can't have it everywhere. You can't have money in the bank and not buy the fact is they can afford to buy the big players in the last 2 years. And he hasn't done it.
Well, they can if they go into debt. They can if they go into debt.
But that's what the other clubs have done, though, Liam. That's what the other clubs have done to do it. They've
gone into
debt.
The likes of Man City and Man City and Chelsea, there is no debt, is there? It's just benefactors. You're being bankrolled by a country, Abu Dhabi, and you're being bankrolled by an oligarch like Roman Abramovich, who has so much money that 100 million, 200 million spent on a player doesn't seem to matter.
And the other factor in that equation, if I may butt in, lads, is that Manchester United just announced last week that they're 500 million in debt, and that debt is being serviced by the football club which is owned by the Glazers.
But it's easily serviced by the football club, Eamon.
Yeah, 40-50 million a year. Yeah, I'm actually tending to take your side because I don't think. I mean, Arsene Wenger has referred, Liam, to financial doping, hasn't he? And comparing it to performance-enhancing drugs.
Well, it's an uneven playing field, isn't it? Yeah. It's an uneven playing field, but it's always been like that. So you can't really complain about it. But when you judge them as regards success and failure, it's 20 years to be in the top four and throw a few Premiership titles in there as well, and FA Cups. And he said something. He said something the other day at the press conference. He said, Arsenal had no European pedigree till he came to the club, and we didn't really. I think we competed maybe twice in what was the old European Cup, once under George Graham and once under Bertie Mee. So he's taken the club to a level. He's a victim of his own success, really, Eamon, isn't he? The fans. Lots of fans have been brought up on the team that he created to begin with, Vieira and Petit and the old Arsenal back four, and they're craving for those days again. But it's easier said than done, and it's like you said, be careful what you wish for. Tottenham have had something like, I think, 16 managers since Wenger's been there. Liverpool have changed so many managers in recent years since they last won the title. You know, a new manager doesn't guarantee you success, does it?
No, but Liam, I agree with what you said. But you can't live in the past either. It's 10 years, 12 years since they won the championship. I think he's done a great job for Arsenal.
No, I'm not living in the past, John. I'm just saying he's a victim of his own success. I'm not saying living. I'm telling you now why Arsenal are struggling to compete with the likes of Manchester United, Chelsea, Man City on a financial footing, and struggling to compete with the likes of Bayern Munich, who have the run of Germany. You know, look at all the players that Bayern Munich have in the team that played for other German teams. They just, as soon as they have one or two good seasons, they're in the Bayern Munich team. That doesn't happen in England. Arsenal haven't got that clout.
Now, I think that's the best defence of Arsenal that I've heard. I want to move on to another